Are you after a laptop with as much computing horsepower as possible? Does battery life, heat, noise, or even weight stand in your way of achieving this? Well, I have just the one to tell you about today. If any laptop were an embodiment of a gas-guzzling hot rod, then the MSI GE76 Raider would be its wisecracking artificial intelligence sidekick. This 17.3-inch monster won't apologize for taking up extra spaces at the grocery store, nor will it feel sorry for the heat and noise it produces. Light pollution, you say? The color LED light bar is all party up front, while the per-key RGB keyboard by SteelSeries sets the mood for performance. Weighing in at 5.39 pounds at over an inch thick, it won't fit in your everyday backpack. It'll ride in its own bag, and you'll need that bag to tote around this ginormous 280-watt power supply. The brick itself, with the cables, weighs over 900 grams. That's like packing not one, but two Subway foot-long sandwiches with you. So why would anyone subject themselves to the physical distress and inconvenience of carrying around this machine? Well, it's all about performance. The MSI GE76 Raider packs Intel's fastest mobile 11th gen Core i9 processor called the 1190HK. And while the max 5 GHz clock frequency and 8 physical cores already demonstrates a significant performance delta against nearly every laptop out on the market, there's even more performance to be had. You see, the K at the end means that this powerful processor is unlocked. That means that Intel's own extreme tuning tool can get extra performance out of this processor. This isn't unlike how automotive tuners utilize the computer on board a car to get the best timings and air-to-fuel ratios for better performance. Now keep in mind that overclocking can lead to instability and damage your system. While MSI does a great job in keeping temperatures down with a custom cooling solution, more on that later, it's something that you do at your own risk. The GE76 Raider is marketed as a performance gaming laptop, and it is outfitted with an NVIDIA RTX 3080. This is one of the most powerful mobile GPUs shipping today. With 16 GB of GDDR6 VRAM on board, this card can easily handle the most challenging games or edit 8K raw video. This laptop comes equipped with a single 1TB NVMe PCIe Gen 4 SSD. But because this is one giant laptop, MSI has made it possible for you to not only upgrade this SSD, but you can add a second one as well. Speaking of upgrades, the GE76 Raider comes standard with 32 GB of DDR4 RAM. The two memory slots also allows an easy upgrade path to 64 GB, should you need it. One of the most important things about any laptop is, of course, the display. Unlike the MSI Creator Z16 that we reviewed earlier, link up here somewhere, this screen isn't marketed for color accuracy. To my eyes, it's a little bit off, but I think this IPS level screen needs a bit of a calibration. It's a little bit washed out to me, and it could use a little bit more contrast. But where it excels is in the refresh rate. This is a 360 Hz 1920 by 1080 display. A typical monitor has a 60 Hz display. And if you compare this display to a regular monitor, it would just look blurry beside it. Motion looks eerily smooth, especially in games, which is what this machine is designed to excel in. Housing all this powerful hardware is a composite chassis consisting of an aluminum top plate for the back of the display and an aluminum top plate for the top of the keyboard deck. The components sit inside this plastic shell, and despite having such a vast footprint, the construction feels extremely robust. There's very little flex around. And we appreciate the Phillips head screws, as they make opening the chassis easy. Not everyone has Torx head screwdrivers kicking around, and getting at the components was no problem once you can get over damaging the warranty sticker. Here's a great look at the triple fan cooling system that uses 6 heat pipes. You can see how beefy it is, especially around the GPU area. The cooling system works by pulling cold air from the bottom of the chassis through these perforations. The hot air is then expelled through the vents on the left, right, and the back of the Raider 76. With so many laptops opting for solder construction, this laptop should last considerably longer thanks to the ability to upgrade and repair it. The MSI GE76 Raider comes with 4 USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports. There's a USB-A and USB-C on the left-hand side. You even get a combo microphone headphone jack for low latency audio. Sandwiched between the USB-A ports on the right-hand side is a creator-friendly full-size XTX-C card slot. You might be thinking why there's so many legacy USB-A connectors. Well, besides your USB drives, most gaming peripherals use this. Mice, keyboards, headsets, all use this connector, and that makes a lot of sense because this is a gaming laptop. You'll see the USB-like connector on the back for the power brick. And as much as I like to dunk on the power supply size, the one benefit is that the connector is double-sided, meaning that it doesn't matter which way you plug it in. It's like a giant USB-C connector. Next is a full-size HDMI port, a gigabit Ethernet port, a Thunderbolt 4 port, and a mini display port. This laptop can very easily take the place of a desktop workstation because everything you need is built right in. I appreciate the 1080p webcam upgrade on this laptop. When you are on Zoom calls these days, if your square looks pixelated or murky, you stand out for completely the wrong reasons. And after 2 years, I expect manufacturers to pay attention to this. When it's well lit, this camera does a pretty good job. They have provided an electronic shutter should you not want to be seen. And Windows Hello works extremely well with this webcam. It's pretty fast and it locks my face very quickly. Dyne Audio has been tuning the sound for the MSI for a few years now. The audio on the MSI Raider benefits from their expertise. Let's have a listen.
Okay, so 90 seconds to a full charge. I hope this place holds together that long. Charge faster!
Using all the space inside the chassis as a speaker cabinet, two drivers fire downwards rather than upwards through the set of grills on the top plate. There are also two woofers to help fatten up the sound, as you just heard. And even at high volumes, the setup rolls off to prevent unpleasant distortion. SteelSeries also packs their Nahimic software to help you tune the audio to your liking. Software also controls noise suppression through the built-in microphone, among other things. I love this 102 key keyboard. The keybed is solid and the chiclet style keys are well spaced out for fast touch typing. And it's nice to see a number pad available for macros or should you want to do some mid-game accounting work. And while I love the keyboard, I'm just not a fan of this trackpad on the machine. It's way too small and oriented way too far to the left. I often end up left clicking the right part of the surface because its orientation should be centered. I recommend using a gaming mouse on this one. It'll create a lot less frustration. The SteelSeries software helps configure the large light bar on the front and the keyboard to give you the light show you want. You can use the pre-configured options or roll your very own psychedelic light show and save them as presets. We've talked this machine up as a performance-oriented laptop, and it's undoubtedly true, but most importantly, it's a gaming machine. It's been a few moons since I've had a good gaming session, so I reset my Battle.net credentials and played Diablo 3 for a few hours. Okay, it's not a first-person shooter pushing the GPU hard, but it does utilize it. It also does a decent amount of utilization of the CPU as it manages everything happening on screen. After half an hour gaming, I could start to hear the fans spooling up to cool down the Core i9 processor and the RTX 3080 GPU. It was so loud that I had to put on my headset. Just have a listen. After putting on my headset, I was just immersed in hacking and slashing every enemy in every dungeon. And compared to a 60Hz screen, this 360Hz display makes a huge difference. I just found myself playing longer with less eye fatigue. And in terms of performance on the game, there were no crashes, no slowdowns to report. I just had a lot of fun. It was really just a great experience. And for a test that's a little bit more objective, I did a render test on my desktop workstation at home. It's a Dell T3610 with a Xeon. We used Adobe Media Encoder, which uses the CPU and GPU for rendering, and transcoded a 50 GB ProRes file into a 4K MP4 file. I did the same test on my Dell XPS 15 9550 laptop, and for science, we also tested this out on the latest MacBook Pro with the M1 Max chipset. The Dell T3610 did the render in 37 minutes and 23 seconds. The Dell XPS 15 did it in 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 55 seconds. But the GE76 Raider did it in 34 minutes and 39 seconds. Now, for science, we also tested the M1 Max powered MacBook, and that one did it in 50 minutes and 21 seconds on battery power. I'm gonna need some upgrades really soon. Okay, look, we were never under any illusions that this beast of a laptop would be an all-day performer. At least not unless you anchor it to the wall with the massive 2-pound, 280-watt brick. And I feel that if you turn everything off that gives this machine character, like the RGB lighting, the screen, and throttling the performance down, it just isn't worth the fiddling. It is what it is. Yes, it does have a 99 watt-hour battery on board, and the reasoning is logical. It's the maximum allowable size for a single battery on an aircraft. But if you never plan to fly with this laptop, this is where I feel that there could be some improvement to make this laptop better as a portable workstation. There is quite a bit of room in the chassis to accommodate a much larger battery. But honestly, how bad is the battery life? Well, for science, I transcoded that large 50GB ProRes file again to 4K, and using Media Encoder, I started at 100%, and after finishing, I was only left with 25% battery life. The job took 45 minutes and 29 seconds. Now compare that to an M1 Max powered MacBook Pro. It had 51% battery life after a 50-minute render. Ouch! However, if you're going to be plugging this laptop in wherever you take it, you'll never run into this scenario. Okay, the MSI GE76 Raider is a hot rod of a laptop. It's got all the most powerful components available to ship right now, and a screen that makes everything smooth. I love the SteelSeries keyboard, and no joke, it's really speedy. But all that powerful hardware comes with sacrifices to power it and contain it. The GE76 Raider is thick and heavy. It's that huge pickup truck that takes up too many spots at the grocery store, and it's loud under load. You want to put your headset on when working around this monster. But what matters is whether this laptop fulfills your needs. And if those needs are for the most powerful hardware available where portability and battery life are not priorities, then who am I to steer you away from this laptop? Provided that you have $4,500 Canadian to spend on such a machine. Now, at the same time, if you've got that $4,500 Canadian budget to spend on a computer and you plan on using it at home most of the time, may I suggest a desktop computer? It might give you a lot more value and consequently more performance. It's worth considering. But if you are looking for a laptop that is a little bit less over top, maybe with more battery life, check out our review of the MSI Creator Z16. The link is around here somewhere. Or if you're looking for something slim, sleek, that will run all day long, I think this other laptop mentioned right here might be worth considering as well too. It's pretty nice. And we'd love to tell you when our next video gets uploaded. Just hit the subscribe button and that bell icon to be notified. And we'll see you in the comments. After you, I insist.